Off. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. We're going to be doing some animation today. Thank you for stopping in. And so we're going to be looking at bear attack animations. So let's get the right file loaded up. We'll use this one, I guess. Yeah, I think that's all we need. But then obviously we need to load up the bear thing. So we have the walk, run, idle kind of section here. Now we're going to make an attack one. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to turn this off. And we're just going to go into our sequencer and load in another control rig. And the reason we want to do that is so that everything is decently organized. And we can kind of scrub through our timeline and find where it is. If I put every single animation on one control rig, if you need to redo a certain animation or you have to go back and edit something, all of a sudden you're scrubbing through like 10 different animations. You're going to have a hard time finding the one you're looking for. Then you kind of got to ask yourself, is this where it starts? Is this where it ends? When you're doing somewhere between 3 to 5 animations, 6 animations, and it all kind of fits, it's a little bit easier to kind of keep organized, keep your stuff in line, and make sure everything works. So that's why we want to do something like this, where we have multiple control rigs in there, just to kind of split it up a little bit. You also don't want to have one control rig for every animation, because that just gets too taxing on the memory, and it starts hurting your responsiveness when you start clicking on certain things and start trying to edit certain things in your control rigs. Just gets really chuggy and slow. So we try and strike that balance. So we did the walk, idle, run with the strafe in there. And now what we want to do is do the attack animation. So we're going to have our own unique attack animation control rig right here. And it shouldn't matter too much, but we do want to zero out our location, just so that we're nice at the 0 point right in the middle of the world space, just in case any offsets carry over. I'm pretty sure they do not, but it's still better to just make sure everything is at the world origin and looking good. Okay, so this is sort of like the T pose, the rig pose, the default pose, bind pose is what you would also call it. We want the idle animation to play, so we understand what's going on. So we're going to go ANI bear attack, just to kind of... That did not work. Like that. Then what we want to do is we want to make this in the sequencer and we're just going to change this to attack. Like that. Everything is nice and clean and under control. And then we want to go into frame 0. So we're going to go back to our cinematic viewport, so we have these lovely controls up here, and we're just going to set this to 0. And an attack animation, we're going to say 90 frames, which is about 1.5 seconds. We also want to get the idle animation in here. So what we're going to do is import an animation. It does not want me to. I'm not sure why. What happens if I key that in? All right, so this won't allow me to have an animation imported, which I think has something to do with my rig itself. It just does not allow for imported animations, because I know my wolf rig doesn't as well. I'm curious why that is. Let's go investigate really quickly. We got all this in here. Maybe it's due to a backward solve. What happens, out of curiosity, we type in backward solve. This is just out of sheer curiosity. Import animation sequence. Okay. So that is strictly because of the bones. I understand now why that is the way it is. So we can animate with these controls, but we cannot get that stuff in there without a backward solve. We can't re-import. We can't work with versatile stuff. So what we have to do is we gotta rig the backward solve on these guys in order for it to work. Which is kind of fun. Oh, I would love it if you just fucking work. There it is. So we need a backward solve. So let's go ahead and put in a sequence. What this basically does is it basically just does the inverse where it says, okay, now the bones can drive the controllers. So we're going to just set okay, so we're going to set transform control. I need more visual space to understand what's going on here. So I'm just going to hide this, keep that window relatively small. Make this smaller. Set transform. That's not it. Control. Root control. Global space initial propagate to children. And then from this root controller, we need to project a new parent. So the child is a control. Why? That's weird. We'll allow it, but it's weird. Feel like you could just do a get transform and it would do the same thing. But whatever, we'll see. So we want the root control. Then we want the root bone. Like that. And then we can just plug that in there. File and save. Then we want to set transform again. And what this is a control. And this is the body control, which is just our pelvis control. Actually, we're going to split this up. Because that's how we did our first one, right? So we got the full spine here. So we want pelvis control. And we want to get transform. From a bone, that is the pelvis bone. Lock that in. All right. And then we have the spine over here, which is the same thing that we do over here. So it's just, this needs to be the spine base. There. And then spine mid. Right there. Then we want the rib cage. And then, yeah, just the head and jaw. Like so. So we just did the rib cage. Don't have anything for the neck, which is supposed to be. Head and then jaw. Jaw. And jaw. Okay, so that's all good. Should be able to plug all that in. Pretty straightforward stuff. Clavicle, hand. Okay, that's pretty easy. The biggest thing we need to keep in mind of is this here. Hold on. Suspended. Rip. I don't care about that. Control rig is already updated in the newest version, so sending them a crash report won't... They won't do anything about it because they'll just say we'll upgrade to the newest version, retard. So we're not going to worry about it. Hey, that makes sense to me. Did anybody else's music get staticky? Mine did. I think it was my headphones. But it may have been something else. Let me know. But yeah, we're going to have to restart the program and then fix the rig. So I think we do the root message. Hold on a second, guys. Oh, sorry. My mic was muted. I didn't realize my mic was muted. My bad. Sorry, I was just explaining the controllers we're plugging in. So we did a forward solve, and that works for animation. But if you want to import an animation into your control rig, you have to use a backward solve because the animation only takes your bone data and moves your bones around. It won't manipulate your controller unless you tell your bones to move their controls. So you actually need both. Yeah, sorry. I was having headphone issues and I unplugged my headphone on and off a couple times to try and do it, and I think I muted my mic so you didn't have to hear me figuring that out. But yeah, now that we got this side, we should be able to just do this one, and I think this should be all the controls once we get this plugged in. So instead of the left, we just got to do the right side. So R ankle control, and then R ankle, knee aim, and then the knees. Just like that, and then our foot. And foot is spelt with 2 F's because I don't know how to spell. I spelled it wrong and I don't want to edit it. I think that's it. So if we hit compile and save, we close all that out. I drag this bear in. That looks good. I'm a little concerned. I don't know why the thumbnail looks the way it does. Thumbnail is busted. That's all I'll say about that. We'll create a new folder here and we'll call this attack. I caps lock. Put that under the bear. Here's our control rig. We can rename this SK Bear Attack. Just like that. And then I should be able to now set this to 0. Set that to 90. Right click, import animation, bear idle. Play. So we do have a problem here, but not a serious one. Our bear idle animation is just moved over here. That's just what happens when you import. Sometimes it gets all fucked up and confused. This isn't the full length of the animation, so we do get a little bit of that jank, but if I go to 120 here, you get a flawless looping animation with all the controls working and all the things working as planned. So that's why import animation wasn't working before, because I had to backwards solve the control rig, which I've never really done before because I've never needed it. Backwards solve. Okay, so we do have one problem. You see right there. Let's see if I can fix that really quickly. Oh, it fixed itself. That's nice. So our knee has our left knee aim control right here. We need to change that to our right knee aim control. Okay. File. Save. Close that down. Yeah, we have to delete this. So first thing you do is you delete this first, and then you can delete this after. Drop this guy in. Thumbnail looks fixed, which is good. Now we have a big boy control rig. Throw him in here. Sequencer. And we'll start at frame 0. I don't think it will work, but we'll try again. Oh, it did it. It actually went to the correct frame this time. Excellent. And as you can see now, the knee aim is correct. You don't have a weird knee pivot where the knee shoots in a really stupid angle. And that was just me forgetting to change one setting to the correct right side instead of the left side. So he wanted to aim his knee where his left knee was aiming. And now that's fixed. So there we go. We can successfully import animations. This is going to make the process a hell of a lot faster. So we're going to pick a spot where we kind of like it. So I kind of like this frame here. So what we can do here is we're just going to delete all the frames we don't need because we're only really using this as a reference pose. We're not just taking an idle animation and sitting on it, right? We're just using that as a reference pose. So bring that in there. We're going to hit Control C. Control V, because it has to end on the same kind of frame. And there we go. So we're going to do 2 attacks per stance. So this bear doesn't have a traditional fighting stance, but he is going to have access to the traditional directional attack system. So I don't know what the best way to make that work is. He is going to have a combat stance modifier. At least some sort of like placeholder stance in order for that to work, because it's just not going to work otherwise. So we are going to have to make orthodox, high stance, and reverse stance. But that's not a big deal. Okay. So let's do the stances first, actually. We will do the stances first. So he's going to be... orthodox is right side attack. So we want to get him in a position where he's getting ready to attack on the right side. That's going to be kind of tricky, actually. How in the hell are we going to do this? We're going to kind of want to have him kind of pivoted this paw back a little bit. It has to be... How in the hell are we going to do this? This is actually really complicated because... Maybe we just make a generic fighting stance that doesn't involve the legs, because how we have our animations working in our other system is it's just a torso modifier and an arm modifier, but he uses his arms, quote unquote, to walk, so we can't actually modify those all that much. But what if we did something like this that really kind of props his body up? Like that. Then we did a little bit of a pivot this way. Kind of had his spine kind of arc this, so he's just kind of like that. Kind of have him lean a bit more to this side. While keeping his feet unanimated, because we can't have his feet animated. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing. I just realized there's a logical issue with how I was going to do my normal attack system. Yeah, that's how my combat system works for a lot of the enemies in my game, is that you can tell which direction the attack's coming from based on their combat stance. So you have to get into the correct corresponding guard stance or combat stance in order to successfully block that attack. It's pretty much exactly like For Honor in that respect. Although it is a little bit... It is a little bit more tilted towards single-player combat. I think that's pushing it too far. I think I need to just bring this back to reality a little bit. I don't think the elbows matter. But let's see. I don't think I'm going to have control of the elbows, but there is our bear. We're going to delete this. Then yeah, we move this over here. Control C. Paste it over here. Okay, 60 frames is the halfway point. This will be sort of like his breathe cycle, just because you want to have a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna change the head tilt here. is a little too excessive. Fine with that. And then we just kind of key all this in. And again, we're only really moving the torso. We can't really move. We can't really move the arms. So it does feel like a limited animation, but the way this fits, it will make sense. In time, it will make sense. So that's a little too much of an ease. I'm not really seeing it because it is very subtle animation. So maybe we just try this here. Like that, and then we bump this over 5. Like so. Let's see what this does. That's better. Okay. Now we just need to set up the overlapping action. So then we can just bump this up a little bit. Two, 4, 6. 8. There we go. Does that work? I think there's too much overlap in certain things. That's fine. We'll fix it. So I'm going to make this fine at 2. I'm going to make that 2. Do that. What does that look like? It feels a little bit more natural. I'll take it. So we're going to go to 120 here. Key these 4 pieces in. Copy. Paste. Gonna get rid of those keys there. They're not needed. Neither of those. Close enough. Okay, so that's sort of his orthodox stance because he's leaning towards his right. I didn't think we would do this, but this is an interesting development. So we're going to bake this sequence. Animation sequence, bear. Orthodox. Stance. Okay. Open this up. And it's just a subtle little clue to tell you, hey, he's standing on this side at 150. You should be able to hit play here. At 150, we're going to do his reverse stance, which is pretty much just the exact opposite of this stance. So we can just come into 150 here and just set up what the opposite of this stance would look like, which is a little bit more like this, a little bit more tilted this way, a little bit more tilted, like so. Just kind of correcting the record here. Tilt. 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 Maybe just get this to calm down a little bit. So it's just kind of going there. Something like that, eh? Nothing super crazy, but it will kind of get the message across, I guess. And it gives the player another visual clue, so that is actually pretty handy. That will work itself out. Not exactly what I was expecting I would come out of this with this bear animation system, but technically, yeah, if I want him to attack directionally, he needs to have a stance. Now, I could just do one animation. That's way too much. I fucked up. That's fine. That's passable. That's passable. It's not the most believable, but when we add the overlapping action, it'll look better. You know the drill. It's very important, too, when you do animations like this, you're extremely consistent in how you make them so that you don't have ones that look particularly weird compared to the other ones. It's too much of an ease. I immediately don't like that. That's better. Bump this out 2. 3's fine, I don't care. Yoink. And that's just a bug from, it's not necessarily a bug, I should say. It's just what happens when you do that. It's pulling from the animation behind it, so it wants to snap the other way. So just got to set our frame up. Just delete those. That looks very natural, actually. Look at that. We're coming our way. Coming a long way here. Okay. Good enough for me. So we'll bake this. Animation sequence and just kind of get this figured out. But yeah, that is how that works. There. Underscore high stance. Oh, that's not the high stance. Oops. It's fine. Let's go to our animation sequence folder. That's the reverse stance. Wildlife. Rename, sir. Reverse stance. And then at frame 300, we'll do the high stance. Which we're just going to go ahead and click on that frame and import our idle animation. And of course, for whatever frickin' reason, it wants to shoot that down. So we're just going to take this frame here, move it that way, and then we should be able to zoom back in, change this pose a little bit more. So this is not a great, this is just kind of chill. He's getting ready to do some big nasty. I can't move his head like that. If I want to control his head, I got to do this. We want to kind of fix the spine to be a little bit straighter, a little bit more upright. Like that. Good enough for me. There we go. And then just in the middle here, we'll just have him breathe, I guess. Pass. So yeah, this is just a basic stance switching system, and then we'll plug it in to our animation blueprint, which we haven't even started yet, but we'll get that started, and then we can do some basic attack animations. This over. This over. That. This should be pretty simple. Which this guy here is like, your character model is about this high. This is a very large bear. So that works out great. Animation sequence, bear. Animation sequence, bear. Something. Fuck. High stance. Sorry. That's good enough. We're going to save that. And then we can come into here and let's look at getting our animation blueprint kind of. I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work because this is going to be a little bit harder than I initially anticipated. Animation blueprint. Find our bear. Call this anim EP underscore bear. Open him up. This is our little graph here. And what we want to do here is we're going to have to reference our player blueprint. So we're going to do AI sword anim blueprint. We're just going to have this off to the side. Sup stuff, welcome on in. And then, yeah, we're just going to look at how we built this. So, we do need a slot for that stuff. Exhaustion. Do we need an exhaustion? I don't know if we do. I don't think so. I think we just need a state machine for this. I don't think the bear's going to be able to faint. That's a little bit too high level of intelligence. Bears are pretty smart, but they're not that smart. So we want a state machine. Right there. And we'll just put it in here. And then just cache pose. G0. Call this bear. State. Regular. And then we can use cache pose. There. Just like that. Oh, I don't know why that didn't mute. My bad. And basically what we want to do here is we want to do a slot. We'll just have a default slot for now. And what that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to play animation montages, which are basically set animations. So like our attack animations are montages. But from that, we need to open up our state, which is right here. We're just going to look at this state and look at how much of an absolute dumpster fire this is. So we don't have turning. Blocking, we won't have. None of this we'll have. Yeah, none of these. Bears, I guess, are capable of jumping, but I don't know if we'll have a jump. We'll keep that off for now, but what we want to do, they also aren't capable of blocking because they're just an animal, right? So if you swing an axe at a bear, you're going to hit the bear. Like, he's not going to be able to parry you. So the only thing that you have to worry about is where his attacks are coming from so that you can block them. And if you don't block them, they're going to hurt. They're going to hurt a lot. They're going to do a lot of damage, and they're going to stagger you. Because a bear swats at you with his paw, you're going to lose your footing. So we want to do an idle run. Yeah, we want to do an idle run here. Add a state. We're going to call this idle / run. Like that. I think this has a... Don't do that. Do not do that. Yeah. There's no condition for this. It just goes to that automatically. The same thing for this. So when we open up our idle run here, we have what's called our directional movement bullshit. Or blend space, but I like bullshit. It sounds better. So we got our bare idle run. And then we have to set up the blueprint, because our blueprint right now isn't there. So we got to go into our event graph here. Sorry. Like this. So event begin play. Try to get pawn owner, and we just need to set this variable. So yeah, event begin play. Begin play. Right there. And then we're going to try get pawn owner. Just basically the owner of this blueprint. We're going to cast to master AI. Because this will be the subject of the master AI blueprint. And then we'll just create a variable, call this master AI reference. Like so. So we want to get blueprint on update animation. Is valid. Right there. Try get pawn owner. Right there. That's good. So, is in air. Do we need this set? Well, we're not going to have anything for is in the air right now. I guess we could. We'll plug it in, but I don't think we're going to use it. So we're just going to add a variable here. Call it is in air. Caps lock is on. It's in air question mark. We want to set that variable. Get movement component. Is falling. Basically, we have a movement component and it can determine whether or not something is falling in the air or not. And then we can set that to is in air here. And then that's basically how we set our jump animation. Is you have a little jump animation to start, and then it says, oh, you're in the air. So then it does its like sort of loop where his arms are slowly flapping and it looks like he's falling through air. So we can do the same thing with the bear. We don't have that jump set up, so we're not 100% sure if we're going to use it just yet. But it's there if we need it. It's pretty easy. So we need to get our speed here to figure it out so that we can use it for stuff. So we need to get our velocity. So underneath here, we just grab our pawn owner and we just want to get our velocity. And we want our vector length. This is a little bit more mathy than what we're used to here, but oh, just vector length. Right there. And then from that, we want to set what's called our speed variable. So we're going to create a new variable, call it speed. And we want this to be a float. because that's what that value is. And then from here, we can just hit set speed, plug our vector length into this, and plug this, nope, plug this to here. From that, we want to get our pawn owner. Again. Just gonna leave that. Actually, we're just gonna leave that alone. And what we can do here is just get our velocity. Again. Actually, what we can do is just space this out. We can make this more efficient than what I have here. We want to get our actor rotation. So then we just come in here and get actor rotation. And what this is able to do is we're able to calculate the direction because we have our velocity and the rotation of our character. It's going to tell us our direction. We get in here and calculate direction. Plug that in there. Obviously, we have self. We're referencing ourself, so we don't need to plug anything in there. And then we can just create another variable. Call this direction. Plug that in there. That's pretty clean. Then we're just going to do an is valid here. Like so. We don't need our turn right or turn left. Dodge we don't need. I think we took dodge out. Actually, I don't think we used dodge at all. I don't think it's in the state machine. No, we don't have dodge in here anymore. So dodge was something else. And I think we just made it into a... We just made that into an animation montage. So we technically don't even need that in here. It's a bit redundant, but it'll be fine for now. What we want here is focus mode, orthodox stance, reverse stance, and high stance. Those are the three that we need. So we're just going to go ahead here and get master AI. Right there. We're going to plug that in here, and it's just going to check if it's valid. A validity check just prevents the code from just shutting down if it can't find it. It should never be in a situation where it can't, but if for whatever reason something loads faster than the other, this is sort of like a safety switch that prevents the whole code from just erroring out and shutting down. And it will allow you to continue the game, and things will just not fire, and then you can kind of fix it. It's just less of a fatal error than as if you just kind of pulled from this thing and then it said, well, I don't know where this is, and then the whole AI sort of just shuts down and isn't able to figure anything out. So what we want to do here is from here we're just going to get focus mode. We want to get focus mode, get orthodox stance, get high stance, get reverse stance. Like that. Those are the only four we need. And then we need to promote them to variables, so we're just going to promote to variable. And then it's on the is valid. Like so. Nice and clean. And these are all very important because these are all the animations that we've set up. For our thing, so we're just here to plug them all in. I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit better. Like so. That's good. So you can kind of see how we make this work. So the other thing we have here is, I think, footsteps. I don't care about footsteps right now. We'll get that later. But this is basically get actor location, spawn footstep sound effects. That's not super important right now. What we want to do here... Hey, Goblin, welcome on in. We just wanted to get this stuff in here so that we could fire off the correct animations. We can apply the footstep logic later. It's not required in order for this to function. So... I'm just curious really quickly. Just want to open up my master AI program. Just the basic event graph here. We got our stance switch here. What happens when we do that? So we have a defense against enumerator, but our offensive self-tick is still a Boolean. That's fine. Okay, I'm just curious. Because I knew we switched to an enumerator for some elements of it to expedite the code. But that's fine. Okay, so now we got this. We got this lovely chart here, and we need to plug in direction and speed. Now, we made those already. So we're just going to get this. And get this. You can plug this in here. Plug that in there. Compile and save. So now, whenever we put input into the character and tell it to operate at a certain speed, at a certain rotation, it's going to update the animation through that blend space that we created earlier this week. That's not really enough, though, is it? We want to be able to go into focus mode. So we're going to go back to our state machine here, and we're going to look at how we did the other one. Like this. And if you, it's kind of a mess to see, but you can only go to orthodox stance from idle run modes. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to plug this in here. You add a state. We're going to call this state orthodox. Orthodox stance. Plug those in. So the only transition line for that is focus mode. So we're going to plug this in here, and we're just going to get focus mode. We're in focus mode. We're going to default to orthodox stance. Make enough sense? And then if we want to go back, hold on. Why can't I edit the transition? What's going on? Okay, let's... Oh, there it is. Found it. Okay. Then we want to do is not focus mode. So we're going to get focus mode here. Sorry. Grab this first. And then put is not. Or just not. So focus mode or not focus mode. Right? That's going to pull from those. So we back out. Oh, come on. There it goes. Back out of that. And then we want to enter another stance. So we're going to add a state here. And we'll call this reverse. Reverse stance. And we're going to just pull this out like this. And then we're also going to do, oops, up here, we're going to add a new state, and we're going to call this high stance. Like so. So how do we get into high stance? Well, we got to get high stance. Plug that in. File. That's fine. Load this guy up. And it's giving me a warning because of this. So we want to get reverse stance. Plug that in here. File and save. There we go. I'm going to rename this state to bear state. The state of bear. Okay, so now we can transition into orthodox. And then from orthodox stance, we can either go high or reverse. Well, maybe from reverse, I want to go to high. So we're going to go and plug these in here. Then we're going to set this condition. Get high stance. Plug that in there. Compile and save. Click this again. Say, well, what if I want to go from high to reverse? Well, that's pretty easy as well. Zoom out, zoom in to get that little icon in there, and then just get reverse stance. Plug that in there. File and save. So, now from orthodox stance, I can get to high stance and reverse stance. From reverse stance, I can get to high stance. And from high stance, I can get to reverse stance. But what I can't do is I can't go back to orthodox just yet. So we're going to do that. And we're going to do that. And from there, we can set this to orthodox. So we're going to get orthodox right there. Save. And then if we go back to this thing here, do the same thing here. Plug that in there. Compile and save. So now we have the ability to transition from all of these. The only problem is what happens if we leave focus mode and we're not in orthodox stance? How do we get back to this idle run stance from high stance and reverse stance? Well, that's pretty simple as well. We just got to plug these in. And create a transition. Get focus mode. It's right here. And it has to be not focus, right? We want to not bool. Plug all that into each other. We're going to copy this. Paste that in. Compile and save. Okay, so now we are in our idle run position. We can go to orthodox stance. From orthodox stance, so when we enter focus mode, we automatically default to orthodox stance. From orthodox stance, we can go to high stance. From high stance, we can go to reverse stance, or we can go back to orthodox. Back at orthodox, we can go to reverse or back to high. And high, vice versa. And then at any point, if we lose our focus mode, it's going to snap back to this idle run position. All of them have not focus. Not focus. Not focus. That will automatically, no matter what state you're in, pull you back to the generic idle run. We don't need a turn right or left because we're not going to pivot like we do for our player characters. And we do not need a block. Turn left or right because we don't have a shield for a bear. This is a bear. Don't be ridiculous. And then obviously we can add a jump section later, which we can just put up here and just add a nice little jump section. And it looks, this is a lot cleaner obviously than this. But this was my first attempt. And we also have more blocking stuff thrown in here and turning stuff thrown in here that we need to be able to transition from. So this is quite messy, but trust me, it works. So we'll save that. We can save this. And we can test some stuff out. So let's say we have our bear. And let's say he's got a speed here. We can close this out. And I'll just show you how this stuff works. So we got a speed here. We got a default value that we can set to whatever we want. So maybe he's going at 100 speed. And now you can see he's running forward. Well, let's say he's also has focus mode on. Save. Nothing's happening right now. And why is that? Well, it's because we didn't plug anything in here. There's no animation result. So what we need to do... I accidentally closed the blueprint. Yikes. Okay. This one. We need to set that in so that that works. So we're going to go into animation blueprints. Need to go into the sword blueprint again. Look at what we did for here. Layered blend per bone. So we're just going to take all of this. We're going to copy. And we're going to paste this in here. We need to fix this and plug this in. And then we want to get our orthodox stance. Compile, save. Okay, so now we have something that kind of works. Branch filter. Compile. Let me look at the sword here. Okay. So what did we do for this? Elvis 5. So we need to be able to That's set at that. What does that do? Yeah, so we need to blend this so that L_shoulder. I think that's what it's called. Let me load this up. Bone name, we're just going to copy this. Come back into here, just make sure that that's the same. Depth is 2. And if I set this to 1. I think I have them backwards. That looks a little bit more realistic. That's your standard. That's him coming at his right side. Add another one. L_hit. Make this 5. See how that foot barely moves? But if I add this joint here, and then call this R_hit, and set that to 5, then hit compile. And now he's kind of got this sort of crawl to the right. If I take my focus mode off, you'll see what he looks like default. And now he's focusing to attack on the right. You see how we got that nice little crawl? You got a little bit of like bouncing, but what if I did this? I think I know what's going on. So we're going to set this to 1. Let's delete all these array elements and then add 1. We're going to add 2. So this one is going to be the spine. And it's going to be set to 1. Okay? Sorry, not the spine. Pelvis. Pile. And then we come over here and we set this to base spine. Base spine. And we're going to send the blend depth to 5. Then what happens if I flip these back? Okay, so I think I have them in backwards order for some reason. Despite it working without really a problem here, like if I am moving, if I set this to 100, and then I go into orthodox stance, so if I go into focus mode, just works. Why does that just work? Like, you see how nicely that just carries over? But for some reason, this bear... it wants to flip it. I don't know. Layered. Blend per bone. Pile. Save. Here, add an array element. Call this the pelvis. Set this to 5. Pile. It just breaks. It might be how the skeleton is set up for this. So we'll just flip it. I think it has something to do with my control rig, and it just features a little bit differently. So we're going to set our pelvis to 1. Maybe 2. That seems okay. It's a little bit bouncy, but it's not too bad. And then we'll set this to base spine. What is that skeleton? Base spine. So we're just going to copy and paste. Set this to 5. Maybe we can even set this to like 80. What does this do? So we got that. What does it look like outside of focus mode? It's not holding its stance very well. Why is that not wanting to work? I turned that off. That's why that's not working. Okay, compile and save. All right, so if I do that, Okay, so what if I change this to 2? All right, so that one there. Okay, so I think I'm starting to kind of get. Yeah, I think we can't have this. So I think we just kind of have to do it like in this reverse stance sort of system, and I think that's about as close as we're going to get. It's a little bit bouncy, but it's not the end of the world. So that's our bear doing that. Okay. I don't care about this, that. All of this can be deleted. Then, yeah, we just want to open up this state machine here, and then just open up reverse stance. Paste this in, and then instead of orthodox, we just plug in reverse. Plug that in. Compile, save. And we just got to find our reverse stance here, and we'll just test it out, make sure it's working. There, he's kind of coming at you from the other side now. What if I set this to like 8? I like that better. It's a little bit stronger. If I turn reverse stance off, file, change our speed to 100, file. Yeah, that's better. That's not too bad. Okay, so now that we got those set up, we need to do our high stance. Set this to 8. Find our high stance node here, plug that in. File and save, and then to test it out, we just turn it on here. File and save. Okay, so that is a huge problem. So my feet are right here. Yeah, they bump up like 2 inches. Maybe set that to 5. Okay, what does that look like? Okay, what if we got rid of... We changed this to base spine instead. Pile. Change that to 8. This is kind of problematic. So that's what it looks like. Rib cage. Depth. Pile. Okay, what if we did left shoulder? Pile. You see how his front paws are raised up? Which makes him kind of float up in the air. So that looks like that. And then if I add... pelvis, set this value to 2, what happens? Save. Okay, so that's not enough. Ten. $20. That's what that looks like. What does this look like? This is wild to me. This shouldn't be doing this. Like, this just doesn't seem to want to branch correctly. I do not understand what's happening here. Yeah, it's almost like it's the opposite of what it should be. So that's what that looks like. And then what happens if I just did this? So that looks like that. Then what if we did the rib cage? I don't know. This seems kind of weird to me. I've never done an animal spine before using this technique, so we're in uncharted territory, chat. I don't want the base spine, sorry. I want the rib cage, right? Yeah, I don't know why that didn't update. Okay. Okay, and what if I put 8 on this? I put 8 on this. Okay, and I back that off. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Let's see what that looks like. So if I take high stance off, he does that, and then he goes up into high stance. Then he can go off of high stance. Okay. That's his regular walk. Goes into focus mode. High stance. He's even taller than he was before. Okay. So I think this works. I think this works, chat. It's a little bit sloppier than I would appreciate, just due to the fact that this thing is not working like I expected it to. I'm just going to make sure all my variables are turned off. And then we should be fine. Okay. Yeah, like I said, this is the first time I built this sort of stance change system for a non-human skeleton, so the rules are a little bit different because my character rigs are not carbon copies of what they have. So we just get it a little bit different. But that should work. That should be fine. I'm hoping that just works. I don't know. We'll have to see. Alright, so now that we got our stances in, we'll do a couple of attacks, and we'll call it a day. So we'll grab... we'll grab this keyframe here. And at 500 here, we'll set this to 500. This only needs to be 590. We're going to do a 1.5-second animation. Paste that key in there. Paste that key in there. And then we'll do a big... we'll say 540 is our sort of anticipation pose. So we're going to come down, pull this guy over, and basically we just got to wind his arm up, right? Nothing super sophisticated here. We need to find our elbow. I don't know where the elbow aim is. Right there. Point the elbow aim like way back. Let's get this a little bit more. Like that. And then just do a pretty basic claw attack, right? So over 10 frames, let's get our... scrub our thing in a little bit tighter. Like that. That's looking good. And effectively, we just kind of come in here. And a frame 10 frames over. We're just going to kind of rotate this guy. Bring him way over. Big scratch. Basically that. And then what we want to do here is we're going to do what's called an ease. So we're going to key this over. Sort of bump that like that, so it just really sticks, and then it's fast. Boom, boom. And then we want our in-between pose here to sort of come out wide and have the paw trail like that, right? Because that's how a bear will scratch you. Big hand open, ready to slap you silly, right? Big, wide sweep. Our elbow aim system seems like it's off a little bit. So that's a little bit concerning, but we'll work around it. Okay, that's a little too fast. So we're just going to calm this down a little bit. It should be pretty quick, but it's not that quick. Right, so we're just going to calm this down. They're +1 here. That's much better. Let me just kind of tilt this more. Push this pose even more. Let's fix this. Like that. Push this over a couple. Frame. And yeah, we just want to fix this pose here. The hand to be a little bit wider. Rio. So we got helicopter hand. Not a big deal. Just gotta look at one of these holes and go, okay, so this one here should not flip. Does that fix the helicopter hand? Yeah, it does. Okay. So we have our anticipation, but we should have a second anticipation. It's called a secondary anticipation. What we're going to do here is we're going to actually come up here at about 520. We're going to paste this in, and we're actually going to do what's just basically like an opposite stance of what we have. We're going to come in here, we're going to rotate in a little bit. And it just kind of come on down like that. So he goes in and then out. Then he slashes. So I want this to move a little bit quicker. This is a little too even. We're going to put that on frame 10. That's better. And then we're just going to key this in. Pull this over a couple of frames. Going to key this in. Pull this over a couple of frames. And now you see he's kind of got that pose that he's stuck in for a minute. So you get that little bit of a telegraph there to say, okay, he's going to attack. He's got that paw up. There's a lot of hang time there. There's a good amount of time to react. Now we're going to do what's called a snap recovery. So we're going to take this pose. We're going to go in 2 frames. And we're just going to go in there as well and just have that guy there. What we want to do here is now take this and just push this pose even further. So we're just going to come down even more. We're going to hurdle this down even more. Going to have the head kind of pop over more. We're going to force this paw to kind of really reach. Like that. And now you get that impact. And then we're just going to take this pose. Just sort of modify it a little bit. Where we're doing a little bit of a recovery here. So we want to have maybe this buttocks up a little bit more. Have this down a bit. Just sort of like that. And you get that nice little recovery there. So he comes in a big old whack. And that's pretty much there. Now we just need to do That's pretty good. We just need to do our overlap. So this paw here is gonna have a 3-frame over delay. That just really makes that all feel that drag now. Rib cage is going to have a nice 3-frame delay. Head is going to have a 4-frame delay, 5-frame delay. This can have like a 2-frame delay. There, it feels nice and natural. And then to cap it all off, we'll just make it cubic. Click on this, and we'll just do a quick save here. You just hide manipulators, and we'll just see how that looks. Okay, so one thing I don't like is we actually need to undo some stuff here quick. I don't think I can. Can't undo anymore. Okay. So we're going to come back in here. We're going to realign these quick. And what we need to do is figure out our paw. So right here, where this paw lands, I want to actually push it out right here, so we're quite a bit in front. So let's just kind of relax this a little bit. Let's really push this, our body forward. And then we gotta delete this. We gotta delete this. Control C, Control V. And then here we'll just push this even more forward. The reason we gotta do this is because he's gotta actually reach the person in front of him. He can't just kind of swipe. He's gotta actually... He's got to be frickin' hitting something, right? So we're going to make him really reach. And then here, we're going to just pull this way the hell out. As far as we can, just so it all falls into that same spot. Boom. You see that? See how much more distance that grabs? That's hitting me. That's gonna hit me. Before, it was just kind of like right in front of his mouth. Now he's reaching for me. Now he's gonna hit me. Look at how far those claws reach. That's way farther. Alright? And then obviously we want to do a nice little drag on that hand. Yeah, you can feel that claw wrap around there. Just boom. Gotcha. Gotcha. That feels way better. That's much, much better. Go. Yeah, that is going to be really good. Yeah, I like that a lot, chat. So that is... We just hide our manipulators. Yeah, that looks freaking sweet. I like it, chat. That's his orthodox attack, right? So then we can come in here, animation sequences, NPC, wildlife. Just type in AS, bear, ATK, orthodox. Export animation sequence. Open it up. And I think we want to make sure we have root motion enabled. But I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think it is on. We'll leave it off. And that is basically how you do an orthodox attack. What else can we do? We'll do a reverse attack, but it's pretty much the same principle. It's just the other side and the other paw. So we can set this to 650. Just get our reverse stance. Copy. Paste. How does that make any fucking sense? We'll make it linear. There, now it's dead. Click on this. We need our manipulators back on, obviously. Do a quick save here. We're gonna just save everything, just so we don't lose any progress if something happens. This section of Unreal Engine is very buggy. This is not even a finished release. This is like a beta. They don't give you control rig, like proper control rig bug fixing. Until later. So we're going to go to 610 here. We're going to do our pre-anticipation. Going to scoot our butt down here a little bit. Scoot in. Like that. And then I guess 690 is where we want to do our full-blown aids. So we can just kind of key that all in. 690 is our big anticipation. For our primary anticipation. Where we're going to come up here, we're going to lift this guy up, roll him over. Start to unravel. Grab my little yeah, that looks good to me. Actually, bring this back. Bam. 710. It's where we really come down and we lay down the hammer, right? So we want to come right down. Rotate this. Fix the butt tilt. Really push the shoulder over more. That looks really good, actually. See what happens when you just get a little bit of practice? Now that I'm more familiar with the rig, this one just is way faster to do. Really want to push that a bit farther this way, please. There we go. Excellent. So then we can take this 725, we'll do that. 712, we'll paste this in again. And this time we do it's the snap recovery, so we want that super intense pose where we really just kind of push things to their extreme. Like that. And this one here, we want to trail the arm. Like so. Start to bring this back. Alright. So now that we have that, what we need to do here is begin our process of converting this into a proper animation. So we're just going to come in here, bump this out 5. Shit. I fucked up. It's got to be 690 to 710, so we want to make sure that this is... I did my math wrong. I did 20 frames instead of 10 frames. Your attack animation should be about 10 frames. I apologize, chat. So this should be at 700. Then right here, we want to do our big wide sweep. Or what we call is the hand correction, because the hand only does like linear tweens, right? It isn't capable of understanding proper swipe. Let's push this pose a little farther. There. Just a little bit farther of a push. As well with this, big wide sweep. Wide sweep. There it goes. See, that feels so much better. That just feels a lot better. Goes through the proper motions. Goes through the proper sweeping. And now we can add keyframes here to kind of push this along. But it feels like he's grabbing you and almost pulling you in, right? Then we want to just key this in. I'm just going to key this. This is going to be a little bit more involved than the first one, but that's fine. I think I forgot some keys. There. That looks good. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, so now we got to do some overlap. We're going to take our left paw. +3. That just gives that little bit of drag. The rest of the body kind of moves like it's supposed to, and you just get that little bit of drag. See how smooth that feels now? Much better. I can click on this. Hide manipulators. Wham. Wham. Vicious. I think that's going to work really good. So we'll pause the animation here. And we will bake the sequence. See wildlife. Animation sequence, bear. Back. ATK. Verse. Okay. Looks good. All right, that's all we have time for today. Yeah, we have the orthodox attack. We have the reverse attack. Pretty much, they actually mirror each other pretty well. They look very similar to one another. I don't hate either of them. Yeah, that's going to be our bear. We're going to do a high attack. And then we're going to have a series of special attacks. So the bear's going to be able to get up on his hind legs and then come crashing down with a basically an unblockable attack. And then we're also going to do a grapple. So the bear's going to be able to get up on its hind legs again and grab you and pull you in for a bear hug and then bite at your face while you're pinned against his chest. Bears are notorious for not killing their prey before they eat them. They will just start eating you alive. They will hold you to the ground and eat at your stomach and rip apart your intestines. So, let's do that. That'll be fun. As for Rumble here, let's see if we can find somebody to raid. Appreciate you, Death, from stopping by. Beard, as always. Stuff. Let's see who we got here. We can raid Raken. Raken's a good dude. Oh, he just finished. No, he didn't. He's still alive. Okay. I think he's having issues. Let me see here. Did my Rumble Studio ever kick out for you guys? You ever get flashes of Rumble Studio? I don't think it's kicking out anymore. Let's test this. Just gonna say hi real quick and see if it pops up in his chat. Sometimes Rumble is weird. Yeah, it's still there. So let's go raid him. Failed to do my process. Raid. Confirm raid. There we go. Raided. Alright, guys. I'm out. Have a good one. Peace.